Okay, so good morning, learners. Good day.
Good morning, ma'am.
Morning.
All right, so I'll be your lecturer for today. Um, Today we will be studying another lesson about the English language as part of your requirement for English for academic purposes. So let's go ahead and start. First, let's do a little warm up. Let's test our knowledge. I will be reading a passage, and then you would need to listen carefully. Then we will be answering an activity after this. All right? Okay, so I will start reading the passage. Everyone, please listen. I enrolled on a distance learning course mainly because I felt that I'd wasted my education. I left school having passed only two of my GCSEs. Despite that poor performance, I managed to resit the exams and get a place in an agricultural college. However, I dropped out after the first term because I hadn't been doing any work. After that, working in a factory seemed at first to be a good option. I had my own money and some good friends. I was happy, or so I thought. But this idea kept nagging at me that I could do better. I would spend my evenings reading, and one day I just thought, I need to get qualified. Studying at home was perfect because I didn't need to give up my job. It was hard work being a student and holding down a full time job, but it got me where I wanted to go to university. Finally, I gained my degree almost exactly 20 years after I'd first left school. A little late, but never mind. So here on the footnote, I left a context clue because this passage was actually from a European setting or an English or some a resource from England actually. So GSCE stands for General Certificate of Secondary Education. So that's what the acronym stands for. So I want you to take a last look at the passage or maybe read it a little bit, scan, and I will probably give everyone a minute. Okay, now let's move on to our warm up activity. After reading this passage, let's put this events in order. So we need to put this events in order on when or the order of when they happen. So we have here five events. Took a distance learning course, graduated from university, failed most of his GCSEs, worked in industry, and went to agricultural college. From the passage that I just read, who can answer number one? What would be the first event that took place? Anyone? Yes, Miss Cedillo.
Letter A, took a distance learning course.
Okay, letter A. Yes, Glenda.
Same po.
Okay, letter A is our answer. Oh, we have another hand. Yes, Miss Vargas. We have a different answer. So some answered letter A, some answered letter C. Let's put that on notes and see the correct answers later on. So let's see. We're going to put that on note C or A for number one. Okay, let's see. Now, what could be the second event? Yes, Miss Balatukan.
Letter C po, ma'am.
Letter C. Who else has an answer? Yes, Miss Vargas. Letter D. So we have either C or D. Okay, I'm gonna put that on note as well. C or D. Okay. What would be the third event? I'm seeing Miss Vargas' hand is still raised. Do you have an answer? Letter E. So third one is letter E. How about the fourth event? Okay, letter A. Thank you, Miss Vargas. And what would be the last? Yes, Miss Cervantes. Yes, Miss Cervantes, go ahead. Yes, Miss Cedilio.
Letter B.
Letter B. Okay. Okay. As we can see, I already noted all of your answers in our messages, in call messages in Google Meet. Now let's go ahead and reveal the correct answer. Okay. So these are the correct answers. Um, the sequence of events on when they took place. So we have here number one is letter C. Why? Failed most of his GCSEs. As I discussed earlier, GCSEs is a secondary certificate. So the writer almost failed most of his secondary certificate requirements. Then we have letter E. After that, he went to agricultural college. Then he worked in an industry. Then, while working, he took a distance learning course, and then finally, he graduated from university. So that's the correct sequence. Do you have any questions? All right, perfect. Thank you so much. Now, let's move on. Let's go ahead and analyze. So, first question would be, how were you able to identify the correct sequence of events in the given paragraph? From those of you who answered earlier, how were you able to identify the correct sequence? Yes, Miss Adilio?
Along with the use of transition words.
Transition words. That's one of the correct answers. Very good. Anyone else? Any more ideas? Okay, so let's spark the transition words later on. Let's have our second question. What do you think are the things that you need to consider to properly communicate a meaningful message to a specific audience? Anyone from the group? Yes, Mr. Zabala?
I think, ma'am, we have to listen carefully to be able to understand and convey our message or what um the message that we want to imply to the people that we talk with.
That's correct, Mr. Zabala. We need to listen carefully. How about if you are the one who will going to give an idea? How would you be able to convey that properly? Yes, Miss Vargas. That's correct. Good choices of word. Yes, Mr. Zabala. Do you have any more ideas? All right. So we have good choices of words, transitional words. We keep on hearing those terms in order for us to properly convey proper meaning. From these ideas that you have from the activity we just did, um, does anyone have any ideas on what we're going to discuss today? Connecting ideas, properly conveying sequence. Anyone? All right. Can
Cohesion po.
Okay, that's actually correct, Mr. Zabala. Cohesion, and then other than that, we have coherence. So today is going to be understanding principles of coherence and cohesion, especially in our academic writing. Now that we are in our tertiary education, we have researches, thesis writing. So coherence and cohesion is actually a very necessary principle in English writing. Especially after your tertiary education, you'll be in a professional setting. You would also need to apply coherence and cohesion in your professional writing as well. Let's move on to our lesson. For today, our learning objectives will be first is to define coherence and cohesion in academic writing. Second is to expand ideas using principles of cohesion and coherence. Third is to contribute meaningfully to class discussion by identifying their own questions about their readings. And finally, use proper cohesive devices and construct their own academic writings with coherence. Let's go ahead and start with coherence. Who can read the definition of coherence? Yes, Miss Vargas, go ahead.
Coherence refers to the quality of forming a unified, consistent whole. We can describe a text as being coherent if it is semantically meaningful, that is, if the ideas flow logically to produce an understandable entity.
All right, that's correct. So now we have to remember that if a text is coherent, it is logically ordered and connected. It is clear, consistent, and understandable. Coherence is actually concerned with the macro level features of a text, which enable it to form a cohesive whole. When we say coherence, it is about the context or the meaning, how your sentences are connected together. So as we heard earlier, we have transitional words or transition words. We need to choose those proper words in order for us to convey the meaning accordingly. Now let's review this passage below. Who can read? Yes, Miss Adelio.
I'm a doctor. A doctor works in a hospital. A hospital is a place where patients go. A patient is a person who is sick. Sick is an adjective.
All right. Thank you, Miss Adelio. So from this passage, would you be able to say that this is either coherent or cohesive? For those who would say that this is coherent, raise your hand. Okay. How about, is this passage cohesive? For those, okay. I'm seeing Miss Vargas raise her hand, so she believes that this is cohesive. That's actually correct, class. This passage is cohesive. As we can see, the author or the writer tried to connect the words. I am a doctor, then he used the last word to start his next sentence. A doctor works in a place, a doctor works in a hospital. But is it coherent? Is it logically connected? Yes or no? I'll repeat my question. Is the passage logically connected?
No.
No. The correct answer is no because as you can see we don't have a central topic, right? The writer talks about a doctor first and then the second sentence he still about the doctor and then the third is about the hospital, then the fourth is about a patient and then the last sentence is about the word sick as an adjective. So the paragraph that we saw doesn't have a central logic or a central meaning. For us to be able to write a coherent essay, we must be cohesively connected and logically expressive of a central topic. So we need to remember that your paragraph might be cohesively connected, but not all paragraphs are coherent because they lack of a central topic. Now, how do we stick to these items for us to produce a coherent essay? How do we write cohesively and to express central topic logically? We have here five ways. First is to start with an outline. Does anyone know what an outline is? Anyone?
Yes,
Yes?
ma'am.
Yes, Miss Edilio, go ahead.
Outline is a structure on
That's
how you
correct.
write an essay, something.
Yes, that's correct. It's the way, it's a structure of how we write our ideas. Anyone else who, I heard someone who raised their hand.
Yes, ako po ma'am.
Yes, Mr. Sabala, go
Um,
ahead.
Outline is the guide that we utilize to properly execute our thoughts and ideas on a specific writing.
All right. Well said. Thank you so much, Mr. Zabala. That's correct. So that's how we structure the ideas. For example, we're going to write an essay. We can make an outline, put your topics in order one, two, three, and then every number there is subcategories. You can, for example, under the idea one is the subtopic ABC. So that's how we create an outline. So that's one way of making sure that you have a logically expressive essay. Then second is we have structure your essay. This is a very known structure. I believe most of us follow this structure. It's putting an introduction first, and then a body, and then a conclusion. So we can have three paragraphs or more. Introduction usually is a single paragraph. Then the body, it depends if we have multiple topics to discuss. So that is another way of structuring your idea. Then the third one is to structure your paragraphs. So every paragraph rather, has a topic sentence, supporting details, and concluding sentence. And the fourth is relevance to the main topic. Now, this is making sure that all your supporting details are relevant to your main topic. It is very important for us to filter the resources that we have to make sure that we will not go beyond our central topic or central idea. Then lastly, it it is to stick to the purpose of the type of essay you're writing. We have different essays. We have expository essay, which aims to discuss or to inform people. We also have descriptive essay. It from the root word describe, so it aims to describe something. We also have a narrative essay. It tells a story. And we also have an argumentative essay. So, argumentative essay is when you are trying to prove a certain point. So, is everything clear so far?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
All right. Let's go ahead and move on to cohesion. So, cohesion is actually just a branch of coherence. So, we already heard earlier that for us to have a coherent essay, it is important for us to know how to write cohesively. So, what is cohesion? Cohesion is commonly defined as the grammatical and lexical connections that tie a text together, contributing to its meaning. So, um, in cohesion, it is also concerned with the micro level. Earlier, coherence is macro level. Cohesion is micro level. So macro level is concerned with the context, with the meaning of your paragraph. Cohesion is micro level, meaning the words, the phrases, and the sentences and how they are connected to form a whole. For us to write coherently or to produce a coherent essay, we need to understand that there are two types of cohesion. There is a lexical and grammatical cohesion. So in lexical cohesion, we have five types of lexical cohesion. Now this is concerned about the choices of words. So first we have repetition. Who can read the definition? Yes, Miss Vargas. Okay, thank you so much. So repetition is repeating words that creates cohesive ties within the text. As an example here, birds are beautiful. I like birds. So in these two sentences, the author wrote the birds twice to emphasize his or her love for birds. So that's basically what what repetition is. Sometimes we do repetition too much in our essays that we don't think of another adjectives or synonyms anymore. It tends to look um, uh, vague, or it doesn't look professional anymore because we often repeat a single word. So repetition is okay. It creates cohesive ties again, but we still have another way of making your writing cohesive. So second is synonymy. Using a word or phrase that means exactly or nearly the same as another word to achieve cohesion. So as an example here we have Paul saw a snake under the mattress. The serpent was probably hiding there for a long time. What do you think is the synonymy in this example? Yes, Miss Edilio.
The snake and the serpent.
That's correct. So the snake and the serpent. So from the root word synonym, the author looked for a synonymous word of the word snake so he can connect his second sentence to his first sentence. And this is actually a good way to write your essay. Um, it makes your essay uh, other than cohesive, it also looks professional because you're not repeating the words all at the same time. Then we also have antonymy. Antonymy refers to the use of a word of opposite meaning. This is often used to create links between the elements of a text. So, for example, here, old movies are boring. The new ones are much better. So, what do you think is the antonymy in this sample sentences? Yes, Miss Robantes. I'm not sure if you are speaking on mute.
Yung sa ano po, old movies, tapos yung sunod po ay yung the new ones po. Yun po yung Anthony.
That's correct. Thank you so much, Miss Robantes. So the antonymy there is the old movies, and then the author thought of um, the antonym of the old, which is new. So that's basically what antonymy is. You think of the opposite word for you to connect your ideas. It is often being done if you are contrasting, if you're comparing something. Then fourth is hyponymy. Hyponymy refers to the use of a word that denotes a subcategory of a more general class. For example, I saw a cat. The animal was very hungry and looked ill. So from this sentence, what do you think is the hyponymy? Yes, Miss Edilio?
The cat and the animal.
That's correct. The cat and the animal. So as we can see, we have here a superordinate or a higher category, which is the animal, and the subordinate term, which is the cat. So that's how we use hyponymy in connecting our ideas. Um, You can talk about, uh, for example, Rizal Park or uh, National Museum, and then followed by the term um, Philippine places or attractions in the Philippines. So you need to think of the superordinate and the subordinate. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. No questions so far, class?
None so far.
Okay, thank you. So let's move on to meronymy. Meronymy refers to the use of a word that denotes part of something, but which is used to refer to the whole of it. For instance, faces can be used to refer to people, as in, I see many faces here. So, I see many faces here. When we say I see many faces here, what do we mean? Yes, Miss Edilio.
Ma'am, he or she saw a lot of people.
That's correct. So, many faces refers to a lot of people. Then we have here another example. More workers are needed. We need more hands to finish the works. So the author used the word hands to refer to the workers. So that is how we use meronymy. Now let's move on. Let's go to the grammatical cohesion. So grammatical cohesion, now it refers to a certain grammar rule that concerns cohesion. We also have five types of grammatical cohesion. First is anaphora. Anaphora is when you use a word referring to another word used earlier in a text or conversation. So in our example here, Jane was brilliant. She got the best score. So what do you think is the anaphora in this uh, sentence? Anyone? Yes, Miss Edilio, go ahead.
Brilliant and the best score.
That's correct. Brilliant and best score could be an anaphora. And then other than that, the author also used the pronoun she to refer to Jane. So that's how we use another word. Then we also have cataphora. It's the opposite of anaphora. Cataphora refers to the use of a word or phrase that refers to or stands for a following word or phrase. The example here he comes our hero. Please welcome John. So as we can see, um, it is a reversed anaphora. The pronoun earlier was used as a secondary reference to the subject, and then in cataphora, the pronoun was used first, then on the second sentence, the author finally used the proper noun for his subject, which is John. So, does that making sense so far, class? Any questions about anaphora and cataphora? Okay, thank you. Let's move on to the third grammatical cohesion, which is ellipsis. Now, ellipsis, this is not the punctuation mark ellipsis. This ellipsis refers to the omission from speech or writing of a word or words that are superfluous or able to be understood from contextual clues. So here, as an example, Liz had some chocolate bars and Nancy an ice cream. Which word do you think was omitted for us to perform an ellipsis? So the word that was omitted from the second clause is the word had, because it's already understood that If Liz had some chocolate bars, then Nancy also had an ice cream. So is it clear? Okay, thank you. Let's move on. Now we have substitutions. It refers to the use of a word or to replace another word. So from the root word substitute. As an example here, which T-shirt would you like? Then the answer, I would like the pink one. So what is the word that replaced the word T-shirt?
The pink.
Anyone?
Think one.
Yes, that's correct. The pink one. So the word one was used to replace the word T-shirt. So instead of saying I would like the pink T-shirt, so the author used the word one. Then we have conjunctions, transition words. So this is a part of speech that connects words, phrases, clauses, or sentences. So we already know what conjunctions are. Now we also use conjunctions as part of grammatical cohesion for us to transition from one sentence to another. But we have different uses of conjunctions. We have conjunctions that we use to add idea, to contrast idea, to summarize. So we have different transitional or transition words. So as what Miss Sedillo mentioned earlier, transition words is also part of making your writing cohesive and coherent. So that's part or the fifth part of grammatical cohesion. So examples here of conjunctions are but, or, and, although, in spite of, and because. Then transition words. These transition words are also conjunctions. So we have however, similarly, likewise, specifically, consequently, for this reason, in contrast to, accordingly, in essence, chiefly, and finally. So we have a variety of conjunctions and transition words that we can use depending on idea that we want to convey. Okay, so those are the five grammatical cohesions. Here are more examples in sentence form. So I called Tracy and John. He was tired but happy. She likes neither chocolates nor cookies. So those are the examples of how we use conjunctions and transition words, which I believe is pretty much familiar to everyone since this is already part of our grammar lessons before. Now, we just emphasized it because it's part of making your writing cohesive. Then we have shell nouns and thematic development. So this is pretty new topic because this is actually being covered less or less frequently in academic English courses. But these are also the ways of how cohesion is achieved in a text. So we have shell nouns and thematic development. What is shell nouns? Who can read the definition? Anyone who can read? Yes, Miss Lazaga.
Shell nouns are abstract nouns which summarize the meaning of preceding or succeeding information. This summarizing helps to generate cohesion. Shell nouns may also be called carrier nouns, signaling nouns, or anaphoric nouns.
Okay, thank you so
Um,
much. Thank you, Miss Lazaga. So that's basically what a shell noun is. So it we use those words to replace a certain idea. So for example, here we have approach, aspect, category. We often use these sentences in research paper or thesis writing. Sometimes we don't need to repeat our central topic over and over again so that the reading will be smoothly done by your readers. We can use these shell nouns to replace um, a certain idea or a certain topic that we are focused on. So we have feature, form, issue, manner, method, problem. So we can hear these words usually in research papers. So, for example, I have a paragraph here. Virus transmission can be reduced via frequently washing of hands, use of face masks, and isolation of infected individuals. These methods, however, are not completely effective, and transmission may still occur, especially among health workers who have close contact with infected individuals. So, it's already highlighted. What is the shell noun in this example?
Methods.
Methods, that's correct. So methods, that's the shell noun used in this passage. So you can also replace it with different words, um, reason, result. So we have a lot of nouns that we can use as abstract nouns. But we need to be careful. Um, it's sometimes we may misuse a certain abstract noun. For example, we are trying to refer to a trend, but we use the word characteristic. So we need to be careful in using shell nouns. If you want, you can use um, the synonym antonym comparison. That's basically that's actually a practice that I do. I try to look for the meaning of the word before I use it because abstract nouns may be very tricky because it's prone to misusage. So we have to be careful in using these shell nouns or abstract nouns. Now let's move on to thematic development. The term theme refers to the first element of a sentence or clause, or your topic sentence. The development of the theme in the rest of the sentence is called the reme. So we have the theme and the reme. The theme is your topic, and then your reme is the supporting ideas. It is common for the rime of one sentence to form the theme of the next sentence. So it is connected. Your theme followed by your rime, and then your rime will be the theme of the next sentence. Is it making sense, class? Or not yet? Okay, yes. All right. This type of organization is often referred to as a given to new structure and helps to make writing cohere. So we have here pretty much the same example as we had earlier. So virus transmission can be reduced via frequent washing of hands, use of face masks, and isolation of infected individuals. These methods, however, are not completely effective, and transmission may still occur, especially among health workers who have close contact with infected individuals. It is important for such health workers to pay particular attention to transmission methods and undergo regular screening. Now, let's divide this into a pattern or a structure. So, this is thematic development. We have, as I mentioned, we have theme and reme. If we're going to divide the example earlier, so your first sentence, we have virus transmission as your theme. Then it is followed by this idea below can be reduced via frequent washing of hands, use of face mask, and isolation of infected individuals. This is your reme. This is a supporting idea for your topic. And then now the practices of washing hands using face mask, it is compressed into an abstract noun, which is these methods. Now, these methods become your theme for your next or for your preceding sentence. So that is basically the structure of thematic development. You have theme, you have reme, and then your reme will be your theme for the next sentence. So theme, reme, that's basically the pattern of thematic development. So is it clear? Any questions so
It's
far?
not.
Okay, it seems that everyone pretty much understood our lesson. Now, in conclusion, yes, Miss Cervantes.
Napindot lang po.
Okay, no problem. So let's go and move on to the conclusion. So this is basically the summary of our topic. So coherence refers to how the ideas of the text flow logically and make the text semantically meaningful and a cohesive whole. While cohesion is what makes the element, for example, the words, phrases, clauses, and sentences of a text stick together to form a whole. Again, coherence, it's the macro level, while cohesion is the micro level. So I hope everyone understood our lesson. Let's go ahead and practice. I have your QR code that you can scan so you can also answer on your devices. But let's answer it all together. Okay. Can you see my screen, class?
Yes po.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for confirming. So let's start. We have here the connectives or the transition words that we talked about earlier. Now we need to classify which among these, or we need to classify what are the functions of these connectives. For example, here, firstly, secondly, first, second, next, then finally shows or show sequence. How about moreover, besides, furthermore, also, in addition? Which do you think is the function of those connectives? Yes, Miss Lazaga.
Reinforce or add ideas.
Okay. So for you to answer it on your own, you can drag the box to the function column. So reinforce or add ideas. Okay. Let's move on to the second item. For instance, for example, what is the function of these connectives? Yes, Miss Vargas. Give examples. Okay, let's drag it here. How about because, due to, as, or since? We have a sentence here. Because he neglected his homework, his grades fell. What do you think is the function of the word because? Yes, Miss Edilio?
Show results.
Show result. Okay, let's drag that here. Next, consequently, as a result, therefore. What do you think is the function? Yes, Mr. Zabala?
Show alternatives.
Show alternatives. We're going to check this earlier. Sorry, later on, rather. Okay. Next is alternatively, instead, and otherwise. We still have four functions. Yes, Miss Edilio?
Show alternatives.
Show alternatives. So if we move show alternatives here, what do you think is the function of this? Yes, Miss Lazaga?
Conclude, ma'am.
Conclude. Okay, let's drag conclude here. Then, nevertheless, nonetheless, however, on the other hand, choose among these three. What is the function? We have nevertheless, nonetheless, however, and on the other hand. Is it showing cause, summarizing, or showing contrast? Yes, Miss Lazaga?
Showing contrast po.
Showing contrast. Let's drag showing contrast here. In short, overall, to summarize, all in all, there's already the clue. Yes, Miss Edilio?
Summarize.
Summarize. Let's drag summarize here. And then lastly, in conclusion, to conclude is it showing cause? Let's check. check. Okay, we have 66%. Let's see. So, because, due to, as, and since. So, from the word because, we already have the word cause here. So, this is showing cause. So, that's the correct answer for this one. Consequently, as a result, or therefore, the correct answer is showing a result. As we can see, we already have context clues. The results, cause is already appearing as part of the connectives. So I think we did a pretty good job. We only have three incorrect answers so far. Do you have any questions, class? Okay, none so far. Let's try the second exercise. So this has a long passage or long narrative, but we will just read um, two sentences. Okay. Then we need to think of another word to replace the existing connectives. For example, I didn't think she knew or cared because she was always too preoccupied with her job. What do you think can replace the word because? As we mentioned earlier, we have a lot of connectives or conjunctions. What do you think is the word that you can replace because or use other words instead of because? Yes, Miss Vargas? Since. Let's try since. Okay, that's correct. So we can use the word since to explain the reason. We can also use as as she was always preoccupied. So as. And then we also have due to the fact. So these are the connectives that we can use alternatively instead of because. Let's move on to the second item. He had left us when I was still at primary school. Then she burst into tears and would not stop crying. So then is our connective. What is an alternative instead of using the word then? Any ideas? Yes, Miss Vargas, go ahead. Afterwards. Let's try afterwards and see. Okay. Yes, afterwards can also be used since it is also the usage of afterwards is also similar to then. Other than that, we can also use as simple as the word next. So it is putting your ideas in sequence. Then we also have the connective also. I felt afraid to see her so hysterical. I also felt guilty because it was my behavior that had triggered her reaction. What is the word that can replace the connective also? Yes, Miss Cedilio?
and
Sorry, can you repeat that?
and none.
End. And let's try end. Okay, if we try to replace this with end, if we try to replace this with end, this won't be two sentences anymore. Yes, it is correct, but remember that if we use end, um, this should be one sentence only because we don't have a sentence that starts with end. So you can use the word end here. I felt afraid to see her so hysterical, and also sorry, we will not use the word also, and felt guilty because it was my behavior that had triggered her reaction. So that's correct. That's still correct. And we also have besides, in addition to this, and then remember that furthermore and moreover are only being used in a formal register. So, for example, you have thesis or research writing. That's where you can use furthermore and moreover. If we're going to use or if we're going to write a paragraph about your life experience or your the place that you've been to, furthermore and moreover would not be appropriate for that because it's in an informal register. Then, in addition to this, we already have, um, in addition here, you can also use also. And as we mentioned, there are a lot more connectives that we can use that has the same usage. With the result that, so let's check what are the words that we can use. Because as a consequence, so that it's also used instead of with the result that. All in all, we can use the word in summary or overall or in short to summarize. So those are the words that we can use to conclude. Then also, I think it's a repeating example. So you can use the word and besides, in addition, there. So those are the correct answers. Now, this link is always accessible, so you can practice. So I hope everyone was able to scan the QR code so that you can also practice and try the exercise 1 and exercise 2. So, do you have any questions so far before we proceed? Okay, thank you. Let's go ahead and move on. So, let's see. Can you see my screen? Okay. So, complete the statement. What are your takeaways? Complete the statements below. Anyone? What have you learned so far from our lesson about cohesion and coherence? Any ideas? Did you learn anything from today's lesson? Or any questions if in case there are still lessons that are unclear? Who can complete the statement below? Any idea? Yes, Miss Cedilio.
Ma'am, I have learned that there are various conjunction transitions that can be used to make our sentences or make our sentences clearly and meaningful.
Okay, that's correct. We have a lot of transition words, conjunction. You can even repeat the same words, but not too much. You can substitute. You can look for the synonym or the antonym. So those are the things that you can do in order for your writing to be coherent or cohesive. So that would actually help your writing become uh, it will help your writing sound more intelligent or um, insightful. So those are the things that you can get from having a cohesive and coherent writing. So as part of your assessment, let's answer this 10-item quiz. We have here five items for coherence and five items for cohesion. So first is coherence. In the green box, there are five words. Let's choose the appropriate word that would be suitable for the letter or the passage below. Are you able to see the letter?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So let me read it for you. Thank you for, dear Miss Stevenson, thank you for your inquiry. In answer to your questions, firstly, there are no entry blank for our courses. What do you think is the suitable word for this sentence? Yes, Miss Vargas? Okay. No entry requirement. Okay, let's park that for now. How about the second sentence? Once you enroll on one of our courses, we would expect you to send your work directly to the course tutor on or before the blank set. Yes, Miss Lazaga.
Deadline, ma'am.
Deadline set. Okay. How about the third one? The work you have blank is then marked and sent back to you, usually within 7 working days. Yes, Miss Edilio.
Submitted.
Okay, very good. How about the fourth one? I would like to point out that all our courses make use of blank material, both on the internet and through the medium of television and DVDs. Yes, Miss Balatukan.
Audiovisual, ma'am.
Audiovisual. Okay. And then lastly, we have one word left. Finally, on completion of your course, your blank will be sent to you by post. So that's certificate. Okay. It seems that everyone did a pretty good job in filling that letter or that passage. Let's see. So I believe all of your answers are correct. So first is requirements, second is deadline, third is submitted, fourth is audio visual, and fifth is certificate. So good job in filling the correct word. So by using those correct words, as we can see, the letter looks coherent or the idea was properly laid out. Now let's have cohesion. In cohesion, we have, as mentioned, multiple words to make your writing cohesive. Now let's try to connect the following sentences using the suitable transitional words or phrases. We have multiple possible answers, so you can choose whichever conjunction you'd like to choose. So who can connect the first item? He's received three threatening letters. He's continuing to investigate the case. Try to connect those ideas. Use transitional words. Who can answer? You have a lot of conjunctions. Anyone? Yes, Miss Vargas, go ahead. Okay. Yes, that's actually correct. Thank you so much, Miss Vargas. You can use the conjunction but to uh, to imply to your readers that even though he already received three threatening letters, he's still continuing to investigate the case. So that's a suitable conjunction for this given sentences. How about number two? The referee blew his whistle to start the game. It began to pour with rain. Other than but, do you have any other conjunctions that you can think of? Yes, Miss Balatukan?
I think, ma'am, it's the word and. The referee blew his whistle to start the game and it began to pour with rain.
Okay, thank you, Miss Balatukan. That's also correct. And you can also use um, a contrasting conjunction because they're about to start the game, but there is a problem that happened. So you can also use however. But and is also correct if you are um, connecting those two ideas. Then third is her boyfriend is very good looking. He's an excellent cook. Who can connect those sentences? Yes, Miss Cervantes.
And po,
Her boyfriend is very good looking and he's an excellent cook. Yes, that's correct. Thank you, Miss Cervantes. You can also use the word also. So her boyfriend is very good looking. He's also an excellent cook. We're just adding multiple descriptions for her boyfriend. Then fourth is she was absolutely exhausted. She's just finished her final exams. So we are trying to expose the cause. What would be the best conjunction? Yes, Miss Vargas. That's correct. Um, sh- she was absolutely exhausted since she just finished her final exams. We can also use the word because as I've mentioned, we are trying to imply the cause why she is exhausted. Then fifth is you don't like him, you want that job, you'll have to be nice to him. So this is pretty complex. Who can connect those three sentences? Anyone? Yes, Miss Adilio.
You don't like him, but you want that job, so you have to be nice to him.
That's correct. Okay, so that's correct. The first two sentences is contrasting. So Miss Cedillo used the word but. You don't like him, but you want that job. And then the next idea is um, something that the speaker or the subject would need to do. So so Miss Cedillo used the word so. You don't like him, but you want that job, so you'll have to be nice to him. So that's correct. Great job, everyone. You were able to use different connectives. I hope you would be able to apply that in your academic and professional writing. As I've mentioned, there are multiple possible answers since we have a lot of transition and conjunctions or transitional words rather. So here are the correct answers, some of the correct answers. So here we have although he's received three threatening letters, he is continuing to investigate the case. So the author did not use the conjunction in the middle, rather he or she used it in the beginning and then use a comma to connect those two ideas. The referee blew his whistle to start the game, but it began to pour with rain. Her boyfriend is very good looking. Also, he's an excellent cook. She was absolutely exhausted because she just finished her final exam. Then you don't like him, but you want that job. The difference here is the author used the word therefore. Therefore, you'll have to be nice to him. Okay, anyone have any questions so far? Is the lesson clear? Would you be able to use it on your daily or on your academic writing in your thesis? Any inputs, class? Do you have any more questions? Okay. Thank you, Miss Vargas. Right, it seems that the lesson is clear to everyone as part of your further development or to improve and have more cohesive and coherent writing. I have your homework that you can do. Write three paragraphs about a place you've visited or you want to visit. Apply the principles of coherence and cohesion and use transitional devices to make your writing coherent. Below is the rubric that we're going to follow. Okay? So before we end this meeting today, do you have any more questions, any clarifications? Okay. Thank you so much, Ms. Vargas. Thank you so much, class. I appreciate you for listening and for participating for all the activities that we did today. I hope you learned a lot for our future use for our academic writing and professional writing. So thank you, everyone, and class dismissed.